Today's meeting of the Environmental Advisory Board is called to order on January 17th. Welcome, everyone. The members of the Environmental Advisory Board were appointed by the City Council. We serve voluntarily. The board's objective is to provide citizen input to the City Council and staff on environmental activities within and affecting Clearwater. Agendas of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance to those chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones and electronic devices. To ensure a complete record of the board's actions, we ask that each individual speaking clearly state their name for the clerk. Will members of the board and staff please introduce yourself? To my left,
Kelly Dobbin,
Marita Lynch,
Jared Leone.
John Thomas.
Glenna Wentworth,
Cassie Cordova.
Thank you very much. Our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of our last two meetings. Board members, are there any changes or corrections? None? I'm looking for a motion to pass both of our minutes.
I move.
All right. Thank you, Glenna. A second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. And no opposition. Minutes are approved. Is there anyone here to speak to items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Yeah, we had July. Yeah, we did both. All right. Okay, is there anyone to speak to items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item. Our new business, use of phosphogypsum on roads, radioactive roads. We had a short discussion about this at our last meeting, and I think we were looking to, I guess, have a little bit more direction and discussion and possibly submit something to City Council for action. Cassie?
So I put together the document. I didn't print anything that I sent you, so you won't have it printed unless you printed it on your own. But I put together a little summary of the bill, which authorizes the Florida Department of Transportation to undertake demonstration projects using phosphogypsum for phosphate production in road construction aggregate material. The bill does require for them to conduct a study to evaluate the suitability of using phosphogypsum as a construction aggregate material. They may consider any prior or ongoing studies of phosphogypsum road suitability, and then the study and determination of suitability must be completed by April 1, 2024. And then down, I also included a couple of different articles that discuss the topic. And you may be familiar with Surfrider. They're a pretty well-known environmental advocacy group, and they're expressing concern about this radioactive element. So Jared had proposed a resolution that he wrote that I forwarded you earlier today, and then also printed, you should see one that we got from
Cooper City.
Cooper City. So we just got that in today as well. So it's up to you all to discuss and see if we want to push that resolution forward to City Council.
Thank you very much, Cassie. Yeah, this I got this the ordinance that was passed in Cooper City. This was passed in August of last year, and I got this from Surfrider when I had presented the resolution that I put together that we got, and I guess they said it looked okay, but it was missing some things, and then they sent this back that this was one that has actually been passed by the community. So I had only gotten this late this afternoon. I mean, and so I understand that we probably need to look over some more of this, but I think the idea is that this product is being tested to be used to be sold for road construction, and I think that we as a community can, say something about whether we want to support this or oppose the use of this within our community. I don't know how far as how effective it will be down the road, but I think as a board we should consider doing something about this issue. I'll open it for more discussion.
I have a question for Cassie. I like the resolution. I saw that. Okay, great.
This is something that,
She just passed this out with fire.
Oh, I understand the same thing, sorry. So there's the demo project, right, for the DOT and the state level. So how does what we recommend impact that if it doesn't go?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to follow up on that. But I think, we pass, because we have roads here in Clearwater that are FDOT roads, and then we have Clearwater roads.
Right.
So I think whatever we decide would obviously only be able to be enforced on our own roads. I don't think we can control what FDOT does.
Right. There is
County.
Forward Pinellas, which are the citizens panel, so maybe it'd be a good idea, I sit on that, maybe it'd be a good idea to give their buy-in and their own list.
It's a great idea.
I have a question. Why are we putting this forth before we get the results from FDOT? Like, why are we not waiting to see what they have to say about it and then making a conclusion?
there was a lot of opposition to the use of this product before FDOT approved its limited use. And so this is our ability, this is what we can do to say that regardless of what they say the outcome is, we don't want this product here because of the elements that have already been published, the concerns about the radioactivity, and then the future issues of stormwater runoff into other water because of it is, as a road surface.
Right. I did research on it, but I have a question because what I read is the way that it's stored now, it seems like it's being stored in like humongous stacks and piles and whatever, and I would venture to think that the effects from that would have to be tremendous versus dispersing it out. So I'm wondering if the levels of radon that would come off of the road might be much, much smaller than what we're already experiencing. And then also sort of the disaster that we had before with all those millions of gallons leaking into it. Like, I'm just wondering if there's any other possible remediation solutions that they've come up with. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like right now it seems like we have this huge pile of an issue and they're looking to sort of spread it out to mitigate the effects.
Yes.
When you think of terms of number of population affected, when you have it isolated to a certain area, you're minimizing the impact. When you spread it out to the general population, you're getting kids developing bodies and brains, you're getting the water source with storm runoff, as Jared said. So the impact is isolated currently in those stacks. Then it would be spread out to all of us.
But we had millions of gallons that went into the bay, right?
And shouldn't have.
Right.
It was a leak.
Yeah.
Right,
But
and a
it was-
sinkhole, right?
That's not us.
That's gyp stacks. It's a different byproduct. It's similar.
But it's not the same product,
Right.
right? That was one of my comments in going through this resolution, that that seems like a totally separate issue than the stuff on the road. So whether you want to delete that fifth paragraph, fifth whereas, because it's off, off topic in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to the pilot project, it's one pilot project. It had, the results of that study haven't been peer reviewed, it's just, again, one study. And it's not over a long term, where roadways deteriorate over a period of time. And so there's a lot more, I think, that needs to be understood, about the use of this material in our roadways, that we need to be a little more cautious, and I'd say it's more of a wait and see, and it'd be best if we didn't put it on our roadways at this point in time, for sure. But there are other pressures at the state level, perhaps, that are warranting Florida DOT to move forward with this solution to the waste that they have. And that's a whole other, somewhat political issue perhaps, besides the environmental issue.
Yeah.
But I think for us to try to err on the side of caution and conservatism to protect what we don't know. I support this resolution, but I just think that that fifth paragraph is
We make some changes. Yeah.
unrelated, maybe similar in context, but it's not about the application of this on the roadways.
I like the section 2596, prohibited, just spelling out the prohibited materials.
This is the one that was passed.
Yeah. I also feel like erring on the safe, being on the side of safety on this. I know that like when work was done on our roads in my neighborhood here in Clearwater, they had to suspend. They were just right in the middle. They put all the oils down, and they didn't have the asphalt down quite yet, and then it rained like torrentially for the weekend. And we've got 2 lakes in our neighborhood. One was the road right next to the lake. So there was concerns in my neighborhood, the folks who were living on that road, that there was wash off going on from the road construction right then into the larger of our lakes. Complaints coming into engineering and who did you hire here and stuff like that. I mean, things like that happen. And so if you're going to have toxic waste, knowingly put toxic waste into, roadway construction, things like you can have direct effects on waterways. I mean, it's just a possibility. I'd be concerned.
And I think John's point is that too, that in terms of the time frame, it's a very limited time frame that we're looking at. We know over the course of years, roads need to be milled and then repaved, and the milling process again kicks up a lot of who knows what if we're using a product like that. So yeah, I think we should add some of the language from this other ordinance, because I think we may be lacking a be it resolved graph at the end of it to kind of round out what we're trying to do. But I don't know, do we have to have legal look at things, or can we put it together and send to them and then they can kick it back to us to make sure the wording is approved to go forward?
I would imagine we would send it to legal.
Okay.
It would be great if we could get legal opinion on it, legal feedback before we present it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for today, we can either, I don't know if we're ready to pass what we have here, because I think there are some corrections that need to be made. John brought up one about removing some stuff, and then also Glenna brought up about the stuff from the Cooper City, the prohibited material, that section of 2596. And I think there might be some other aspects of it that we can add into the one that we'd like to present to City Council. So,
Well, I have another concern about the FDOT study. I mean, I don't know what's entailed in the FDOT study, but I don't see Florida Department of Environmental Protection study here. But I don't see that it's being evaluated for environmental impact. I mean, you would think that would be involved, but FDOT builds roads. Are they just evaluating for how well it works in road construction?
I read online too that the EPA would have to give approval for it to be used after the study is reviewed. So it's not even, once FDOT presents what they do, the EPA would have to give approval for the usage of it. Now, I don't necessarily like that from the EPA, because there's lots of things that they've approved and put forth that later turned out to be huge issues, right? So Right, so, but
What's
that is
the
something.
sound?
But I mean, I had questions about that too, because some research I did in the Trump administration, this was, like, they changed some of the guidelines regarding this product. And then when Biden came in office, he put the restrictions back on. So I was also wondering, I couldn't find anything that said, like, is it used in something already? I was curious, but I couldn't find any research on that. Because I was like, for them to be aware of it and, you know, and then flip-flop on it. I just was wondering if there is some application that is used in, if there's any studies of it. Like I said, I couldn't find it.
I don't understand in the big picture why it is that we're being put upon to, you know, find a place for toxic waste so that, you know, private mining industry can resume in our state.
I know, isn't it?
Well,
crazy?
yeah, that's kind of the root of it though, is that, yeah, this is a product that Mosaic's trying to create a commodity out of. It's a byproduct that they have no use or no value to, and they're trying to create value out of it. So that they are a huge entity within the state. They have a massive amount of money, and if they want the state to study it, they were able to get the state to study it. So
Yeah, but to your point, I thought the same thing because I read that the state has spent millions of dollars on the cleanup and remediation for the spill that occurred. So I was wondering, like, why were the mining companies not on the hook for that?
yeah, that's a separate thing from this, but yeah, I couldn't tell you that. That's, you know, out of
Yeah,
I couldn't come up with an answer for you for that, but I know for this, for roads and for wanting to exclude that product from our boundaries, this is what we can do, is put forward this resolution to City Council to pass and support that, and hopefully other communities also step forward and do something like that, and that lets our leaders who can make decisions see that it's not something that our communities want throughout the state. So we already have one community that's done this, Cooper City. I'm not familiar with others that have. I've asked, but I'm not sure that there are others that have done something or are familiar that they can or should do something. But I think this is a topic that we can do
Something we have control over.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, under home rule.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about it being resolved section.
Yeah, that'd be at the end of, you know,
So is that something like, I just jotted something down. Be it resolved that based upon ensuring the long-term public health and safety of the citizens of Clearwater, the city council supports the recommendation of the EAB and move forward to draft an ordinance or whatever is necessary.
yeah, I could,
Something of that nature.
all right, I can add that in and
I don't know
remove
if
the
that's
finding point
the
stuff.
proper type of language, but.
I think if we pass this illegal, they can
Yep.
do what they do.
Make it a part of code.
So then, I guess I would be looking for a motion. Oh, yeah, certainly.
That one more thing to the reasons why, whatever, that one of the whereases,
Oh, yeah.
the EPA has outlawed the use of phosphogypsum
Yeah.
in road construction since 1992.
It's in the second whereas.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. Oh, this is the Cooper City one, this isn't the one that one.
Yeah, it's in the
Oh, okay,
second
okay,
whereas.
yeah, that's fine, that one in there.
Okay. Yeah, I think John was talking about the one.
Okay.
A little bit of, so we can do that, and then add the last graph that you mentioned there, be resolved. Does the board have any other comments on this? All right. Thank you. Are there any comments from the audience? Hearing none. Like I said, what we're looking for, we have the motion on the floor for approval with the changes that John suggested.
I'm not clear on what this changes are.
Oh, it would be to remove the fifth graph.
It's the one that talks about the spills and sinkholes. This is about
Comparing it to
roads.
pipeline.
Yeah, to keep it on topic. And then to add at the end, be it resolved
That based upon ensuring the long-term public health and safety of the citizens of Clearwater, the city council supports the recommendation of the EAB or something to that nature.
Okay.
Well, my suggestion was to maybe do a section on prohibited materials. So
Oh, yeah, that's right, and then add in the language from here about what the prohibited
To
materials.
what the material is and that it's on city, we're talking about city-owned or privately owned roads within the city.
Do you want to maybe push approving this until the change, like, till the next meeting? And
Yeah, I'll put all these changes
finalized.
together, yeah, I'll put all these things together, and then Cassie can send it out to us in, with an advance notice to read it, look at it, and make sure it's what we want, and then we can make approval of it at our next meeting, which will be in March, not further down the road, it'll be, not next month,
2 months
after,
Yeah. And we can, if you can get it to me
very soon.
soon, I can get it to legal and then back, so that way what we're looking at in March would go to council as is. I think that's better than.
Yep, I can do that. All right, let's do it that way then. I like that. Thank you very much, Cassie. And with that, then we'll move on to our next item, 4.2, our shark fishing
Do we
ban.
need to vote on that?
No, because we're going to vote on it next time. So we'll.
All right.
So here's another item we briefly talked about at our last meeting. I think we had this before, and this came up from people in our community and also outside of the community. Indian Shores had this issue of pregnant tiger shark that died on the beach and kind of garnered a lot of concern about the issue of shark fishing from the beaches. And I think it also raised awareness of some of the public safety concerns of you have swimmers out on the beach next to people who are fishing for sharks and dangerous fish that could pose a threat to other people enjoying the water out there. So in Indian Shores, they took it upon themselves to develop an ordinance to prohibit shark fishing on a portion of the beach there within that community. I've heard from people in our community, been to Clearwater Beach Association meetings, and members there have expressed an interest in seeing something like this come to our community as well. And I think that's where we are with this, Cassie. I don't know if there's anything from inside out, from legal that they're working on that they wanted to share with us, or we basically have the reins on this one as well.
No, I did reach out to Indian Shores to ask if they, if they had any lessons learned from passing it, and I did not hear back from them. And then I did see that Reddington Shores, I saw an article said that they also passed it, but I couldn't find it in their ordinances, so I don't know if that was 100%. Maybe it just wasn't updated on their website yet. So I don't have any information from either of them, but we do have a copy of the Indian Shores ordinance, which I meant to actually, thank you, Jared, for resending it today. I had that and I meant to attach that, so you should have all gotten that today. But I think, it'd be along similar lines. We could draft our own ordinance and recommend it to city council.
Yeah, and mentioning the other communities that passed one, is this something, because we have our own police department, that we can reach out to them and gauge their interest, similar to the cigarette ban, and see what their take is on something that they would like to do, or how they could, put that in terms of their enforcement.
It was a police chief in Reddington Shores. Well, it was a police officer in Reddington Shores who started it, and then he got the chief to pass it. So that's who I actually reached out to. Sorry, not Reddington Shores, in Indian Shores. That was who was listed on the articles, and I was able to get the email address online. So it did go through the police department there. So I think we could definitely reach out to our police department and see if they would support it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think what they did here is that was trying to see where they had the prohibition, but yeah, I think that's what we would need to know, because I think really we could do something very similar, just change Indian Shores to City of Clearwater throughout most of this. But we should make sure that everybody is on board departmentally, that this is something that the police department would have no issue with trying to enforce if that was an issue, and that the legal department is okay with it too, because I know our beach is a little different than the makeup than maybe the other Indian Shores and Reddington Beach in terms of how the beach is accessed and used by the public. But otherwise, I'll open it to the rest of the board.
Actually, I have a question, because when I walk up and down Clearwater Beach, and the fishermen seem to come out around sunset, and I've asked them, what are you fishing for? And they usually say shark. But if we outlaw shark fishing, but that means people can still fish, they can still chum, they just can't catch a shark.
I think in here it says no baiting or chumming shall be allowed along the beaches. That's part B.
Okay, but they can still fish.
Yeah, I think there's, I think this is what I'm looking for here, is that part of it excludes an area. So it says fishing is allowed here, but not here. So it's away from the public bathing area, this far away from the public bathing area. Because we've had that discussion on what is the public bathing area.
Yeah, but how do you know somebody's shark fishing until they actually catch a shark?
Right.
I agree. That
They
is.
have a different pole, different line.
Yeah.
I think that's mentioned here, I'm not sure myself, but I had the
Shark lures and rigs.
Shark lures and rigs shall be prohibited strictly. And then it does say that this does not prohibit someone using a piece of cut bait on any individual line that's used for general fishing. But yeah, with sharks, you would need a stronger line and a heavier pole, so it's pretty evident. And the way it's based in the sand, and, you know. So I know there's a gentleman who shark fishes off, it was at the 880s building. And the picture that you had was right in front of the 880s building, and I wasn't aware that there was a shark on there. I mean, he's, you know, I see him out there almost a lot.
Shark fishing.
Shark fishing, yeah, that's his favorite thing.
Well, I'll tell you, Monday I saw a shark 20 yards out of Clearwater Beach. Like 20 yards out. Yeah, there was like several of them swimming back and forth. I mean, I just don't know how this is enforceable. Like you said, I mean, you know, they could go, well, yeah, it's a shark pole, but I'm just using it to catch fish because that's how I can, and like, how, you'd have to catch them in the act of chumming. You'd have to catch them with pulling a shark up onto the beach.
No, with this, you could just see the pole, but this is prohibiting the rig and the lures. So it would be right there, and, you know, you could just go out at dusk. I mean, basically, that's when people are shark fishing.
From what I've heard from anecdotally from other communities, what it's done is push the people that do it there down to where now they can't do it. So instead of doing it in Indian Shores, now they're doing it in Indian Rocks Beach. Now to where it's allowable. But I think that there are limitations to its enforcement. But I also think that this is another one of those things that we can do as a board to, you know, this is, you know, sharks, we use the water with a lot of dangerous animals. And I think enticing those to shore where people are out, and we don't want to have issues, you know, we don't want it to turn into Shark City.
Or totally. When I see people still swimming at dusk and they got shark fishermen right next to them, I think, get out of the water.
Very true. So for this, Cassie, what can we do? Because I feel like we still need, in terms of our needs for our community, we need to hear from the police department to make sure that this is something that they would be on board with before we can say that we're on board with it too. and see if it's something that they would be up for. And if it is, then I think we would support something like that too, because I don't see any, this is something that should be helpful, and if it can be helpful, then we should do that, and if it's not, then move on to something else. But,
So we would want to check with them before we make the resolution?
yeah, because this would be an ordinance, then would that become something enforceable by them, right?
Yeah.
So I think it would, make sense to have them co-sign, sign on, however.
So is it somebody from the advisory board to contact the chief, or is it
I can do
Cassie,
it.
or what's the best way?
Probably through staff, I'll do it.
Or do you know, are there any provisions at all regarding fishing on the shoreline? I mean, is there like,
Yeah, I think it's limited on the beach part only to Pier 60. So like we've said before about like the public bathing area, I think fishing there is only limited to along Pier 60 and the part out past.
oh, they
It
can only
says,
fish from the pier?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have an email here, because we did
Yeah.
talk about this at the last meeting, and Micah did reach out to Chief Andy, and he said that we don't have anything that specifically addresses shark fishing, but fishing is already prohibited from public bathing beaches.
Yeah. That's the
Public
area,
bathing.
yeah, that would be the area where the lifeguard stations are essentially.
So, yeah, so 80 is beyond the lifeguards.
Yeah.
But I mean, I walk Clearwater Beach like 3 times a week from Pier 60, this is south, no, north, right?
Yeah.
And I see people fishing.
Yeah, because that's outside of the public. If it's north of where the lifeguard stations are, that you're going.
Well, I start sort of from the sand girl,
Okay.
which there's stations there, so I guess where those end is where they can start.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's condos and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
There's
what,
bathing.
so
Yeah.
that's where I was looking for, and I thought they had that in this ordinance. Maybe it was a different one I read. I really thought it was, but it was what they say is from this part of the public bathing area. So we would say we would prohibit shark fishing or whatever 1,500 feet from where the public bathing area is.
So we
Or whatever the line is, maybe we come up with whatever the line is from there in Caladesi, because then that becomes the state water.
Do you want it to be allowed on the pier?
Well, it's not now,
Shark
right?
fishing is not allowed?
Well, is it allowed on the pier?
Well,
Because you can regularly fish there.
I'm not sure. I would think no, but
I don't see how you can have heavy enough poles on the pier to fish. I haven't been out there for a while, like to go see.
It's very
Yeah, I don't know
popular.
how you reel one in from.
Yeah, and.
But no, the
and-
shark fishing is specifically from the shore, though.
That's my understanding.
Okay,
Or on a boat.
Yeah, or,
yeah, or both. I mean, I've seen people like in a kayak take the line out. And then, I mean, that goes on, see, I don't know, Pasadena Beach, between Pasadena and St. Pete, I walk there once a week.
so I think for, if we were going to do something like that, it would have to be from the end of the public bathing area to where Caladesi Park begins or something like that. And we'd have to include that as language in ordinance.
So I have a question I hate to ask, but have we had any shark attacks right here on our beach?
No, and what spurred the one in Indian Shores wasn't an attack, it was just
Like
that,
one that died?
well, the tiger sharks are an endangered species, and so this is trying to limit, the interaction with these dangerous and endangered animals.
Are hammerheads,
And you're not supposed to fish those at all.
Well,
The
and
bonnet
the
head
hammerhead.
and the hammerhead looks similar, right? So-
oh, yeah. So, I mean, they're protected species, and yet they're still allowed to be caught and released.
Well, it's just like you said, like you can't see what you're catching, so you have to release those, but others, you can catch on head, and that's legal to catch if it's within, the right But a hammerhead, you can't catch all those are endangered. But
Oh.
people still catch them because they're out there trying to fish for sharks.
Because the shark
So,
fishing, yeah.
I think the primary aim of this is to protect the sharks, not the people, but we can also
Yeah.
encourage to protect the people that
Yeah.
are swimming.
Yeah, I think there's a public safety aspect to it for, you know, people who do visit, but also,
They're
it's-
attracting sharks.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was aghast to see how close that one was. I was like, oh my gosh, that I literally probably could have walked out to it.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my goodness.
Well, I think we don't know. You know, I mean, well, I think there are plenty of sharks out there in the waters. There was just an article in the paper about a guy who got a drone and he's got near-head pictures of like a 10-foot shark in the Hurricane Pass. You know, right in a very shallow area, and then there were kayaks going right over it. Yeah, I mean, you know, they don't, there's, you know, they don't typically attack, you know? Right.
Yeah, that's in the same area where there's manatees that swim
Right.
by too. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of sea, you know, a lot
And
of
the eagle
creatures. out
ray,
there.
he saw an eagle ray as well, and there were kayakers going right over him.
I have taken one, a two-person open air, it's not an airplane, but it's like a lawnmower motor, and go all up and down the beaches, and you can see, you know, all the sharks, all the manatees, and all the rays. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah. That's why I admire the water from shore.
Same team pool.
So is that something for, I guess, that we can change the wording here in this to Clearwater? We can add maybe a part to say from the end of the public bathing area to Caladesi Island State Park, the line there, that would be our area, and we can find out if that is something that the police department would be on board with as well.
I would also wonder, I mean, if it goes to city council, I suppose there will be an option for public comment, but I wonder if there's a way to get public input before then.
Yeah.
We can talk to communications about that.
Okay.
Talk to him.
Our communications team, see if they wanted to put out anything.
Okay, so any other discussion on this
Just like
one?
to a public hearing of some sort, like
Well, that would be the,
our meeting.
yeah, and then the city council discussing it with the public
That's
hearing.
true.
But, yeah, I mean, everybody, I think that there's, you know, people within the beach community can share that info as well in their like meetings, put that out there as well. Is there any other discussion on this item from the board? Any from the audience? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to our next item. 4.3, ready for 100 update. Ellis, thank you.
Can you show your laptop? The version that I emailed you? I fixed some problems.
Is she gonna do it from her? That's good.
Or you, whichever.
No, I don't have the ability.
Oh, okay. So maybe Cassie could do it.
Is it still on your EDB?
My email to you
No.
a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Oh.
I just need to match your computer battery. Connect you back to them. It's a PDF.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's up on the screen here.
All the
We are. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Melody and I'm the sustainability specialist with the city, working alongside Cassie. So today we're trying to do an update on our progress with Ready for 100 project, which you guys helped move along this resolution back in December, and it was passed December 2023. So it's been about December 2022, my apologies. So it's been about a year. So just, wanted to give an update. So if you click on the next slide, we have two targets under this resolution. The first one relates to municipal electricity consumption. So it is the goal and policy of the city of Clearwater that 100% of all electricity consumed in city operations be clean energy by 2040. So we have identified 4 pathways, to reach there. So the first one is the Duke Energy Clean Energy Connection Program that the city has enrolled ourselves in since 2022. So 40% of total municipal energy consumption, or rather electricity consumption, is enrolled as part of the program. So this program allows power generated by solar facilities from Duke, feed into the electrical grid across Florida, and the city will receive a monthly bill credit associated with the amount of solar energy that our share produces. And so the accounts selected as part of this program are large consumption facilities, or facilities that are not suitable for on-site solar or behavior change programs. This might include wastewater treatment plants, lift station, traffic signals, and so on. So we have prioritized those facilities to be enrolled in the program. So it was projected that at the end of this 30-year program, we will have a reduced total expense of $4.69 million. And so as a report back on the results so far that we've gotten through the program, the city generated 1,976,000-ish kilowatt hour equivalent of clean energy in 2022. So that's equivalent to retiring 1,976 renewable energy credits. So in short, REC. So we're pending on the 2023 numbers. They usually provide that end of Q1 of the following year. So we'll receive that in March. And good news is we've just gotten approval to increase our subscription from the initial 40% to 59% enrollment. So we are able to eventually, reduce more electricity in terms of expenses, but also make use of increased clean energy through the program. The image on the left of the screen is the renewable energy certificate that we've retired. So the next pathway, it's our energy conservation program. That is an internal municipal program as well. We started a 5-year contract with Synergistic company back in March 2022. The company, projects that it will be able to help us reduce energy consumption in city facilities by 20% during this period, and 5% electricity consumption will be roughly reduced at the end of the program year. And we have some financial numbers there as well. Roughly we'll be having expense reduction of $5 million. First year performance was, we reduced electricity consumption by, I actually can't see the number, but I think it's 9% and 27% in natural gas compared to the baseline year. And so first half of the second year, we reduced about 12% in electricity consumption, 39% in natural gas, and 6% in water and irrigation, which we later added on to the program. So cumulatively, we have a cost avoidance of $1.1 million to date. And we're hopeful to see that number go up in the next following program years. So the third pathway is on-site solar. So I know that we have, we're really hopeful in putting more solar panels on our city facilities. There's a potential of 10% to 20% offset through getting more solar on our municipal buildings. And as like in 2023, the city completed a solar feasibility study that helped us determine some of the potential locations that we should have solar arrays. And as of last year, we had the first city facilities that was added on with solar. That is our Cochin Park project, and it's a system of 59 kilowatt. So we will be moving on with future projects using the ARPA and DOE money or other grants. And we look forward to sharing more concretized plans in the next couple of months. That's our top priority right now. So after implementing the 3 above pathways, we will need to determine, or rather we are already working on other pathways to achieve the remaining 35 to 40% of electricity reduction. So these include routine repair and replacement, investment in upgrades, energy capture, and master plan implementation. So as part of synergistic, and also outside of synergistic program, we are looking at upgrading irrigation smart sensors and HVAC replacement or upgrades, mini split system add-on to improve energy efficiency overall. And I know that under investment in upgrades, we put a LED lighting replacement program as part of ECBG grants. We're still in talks about that, but we wanted to be transparent. We are considering LED lighting replacement because that really is pretty crucial in reducing the amount of energy use, but it's not for sure. And so we'll also continue to investigate participating in regional work groups and nonprofit knowledge sharing as well. So we're always looking for better resources out there that will help us get there. And so next up, Duke Energy has a carbon neutral goal set forth in 2019. So we're hopeful that they get there, so they will help us get there too for Ready for 100. So then the next target as part of the resolution is achieving, next page. So it's also a goal and policy of the city of Clearwater that 100% of all electricity consumed citywide to be clean energy by 2050. So we, as part of citywide encouragement of getting clean energy, we have worked on solar co-op program in 2022. So we're hoping to renew that program this year as well, and that would help encourage residents in Clearwater and Pinellas County to get solar panels in their residences and small businesses and nonprofit facilities as well. So that will be something to look forward to. But this target is, we'll have to spend some time to work on the specifics for target number 2. Which we also have a longer timeline to reach. So we'll be able to report back with more concrete pathways eventually. Yeah, that's all for now. Thanks.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you talk about the savings, with the program with Duke on the solar, we have to pay to be in that program?
Correct.
So is that savings is that net savings after the cost to get in the program?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful.
The work here as part of Green Pig Print focuses on basically reducing emissions.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing on the carbon sequestration side? I know I've seen the city of Largo has an urban and forest report that talked about the benefits of trees
Mm-hmm.
and the pieces of urban forest that they may have in their municipal boundaries.
Yes.
And I found it pretty interesting because they convert that to vehicle miles driven in terms of the amount of carbon. And didn't know if there's any of the staff or have looked at that side of the equation. We have a good number of forested parcels.
Mhm.
Not many, but they're there.
Yeah.
In our parks. And didn't know if that is something that's being looked at and encouraging people to grow more trees on their property for the benefits that they have.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I made a note to write that down and look more into it. But one thing that I know is the Arbor Day celebration in April. So we, Parks and Rec, or rather Public Works organizes this event every year. They give out 2 trees per resident. On April, usually it takes place around Earth Day, but this year is April 27 from 8 a.m. to I think 2 p.m. And it's a great point where trees are so important, and we definitely want to push residents to grow more trees if they have a yard. Or I know that we are also doing a tree study, but we don't have the specific details at this point. But I definitely want to look more into it because that's a way to offset the carbon as well.
In terms of trees, Florida Arbor Day, that's Friday. Is there maybe a way to incorporate a celebration outside of just the Arbor Day / Earth Day in April? It might be advantageous to have multiple opportunities to hand out trees.
So I'll let Cassie talk about that. She will be there for the celebration.
Oh,
Yes, the Clearwater Garden Club reached out to us asking us to do a proclamation for Florida Arbor Day. And there was a little confusion because everybody thought Arbor Day was in April, and I explained that there was Florida Arbor Day and National Arbor Day. So the mayor is going to do the proclamation this Thursday at City Council, and then I will be attending the celebration on Friday. And so will Teixeira, I think. I'm not sure if the mayor is going to be there, but yeah, we put it in our newsletter, and I think we put it out on social media.
That's great.
So we are trying to bring awareness to.
That's great. And maybe moving forward, separating the tree giveaway to maybe another day too, in January. Maybe just a suggestion. Trying to raise awareness to
Just
that.
wanted to say about the tree giveaway because we just met with them. They said they give out over 2,000 trees a year, and that's been going on for 42 years. So it's quite the program. And I do think we have several arborists within the city. So Ali, who we met with, he has some training, and then I know, of course, Matt Anderson, and there's quite a few of them. And I know there was a project for cataloging the trees. I'm not sure what the status of that project is. And I also know that there's a GIS layer where we can go in and look at the trees, which I just learned about. So I think that is related to the tree catalog program. But we can definitely look more into that and maybe even have one of the city's arborists give us the presentation.
Yeah.
I would like that, because I think when it was suspended, when they cut down the 2 trees in the neighborhood, camphor, 2 huge camphor trees, that it was partly on private property, turned out to be in healthy trees. So when the tree program was suspended, at that point they had, I think, evaluated about half the trees. My neighborhood all has little blue tags that are all numbered, and you can go into the city website and type in trees, nothing to get to it, or you'll get to them and it's kind of hard to access, but to get it to come big enough where you can, but I was able to count and see every rating on every one of the trees in my neighborhood that are on city property, specifically on medians in our roads.
Yeah.
We have like over 50 oaks
Right.
on those medians alone. So, and to see how they're rated. So that now, they're I understand that a company that we had doing that, that they've moved on, we don't have a contract with them anymore, so that it's going to resume now. And I think that this body would be interested in seeing that would be well-funded and staffed, to maintain our trees, our tree canopy.
Yeah, it is also something in the vulnerability assessment that's being looked at. They
Yeah.
had, the last presentation we had internally, they were showing some maps with the tree canopy coverage. So that will come up in the vulnerability assessment presentation as well.
The vulnerability study?
Yeah.
When is that going to be completed?
Very soon,
By Q1 this year.
yeah.
Yes. We're at the final stage.
Oh, yeah, definitely, we'll get a presentation once we have everything finalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to John's point about food forests, there was a great picture of Crest Lake Park in the presentation, and as part of the renovations to Crest Lake Park, there were some fruit trees that were added. How has that gone, having those trees in the park? Do they bear fruit yet? And have there been the issues that we just were told about issues concerning rodents and other things, kind of.
We'll have to look into that.
We'll have to look into.
I just have an observation that, when you're looking at, the savings over 30 years of $4 million versus, in 5 years of synergistic, we're going to be saving $5 million.
So for synergistic, the amount is, it's 5 million.
Yeah.
I thought
Are
you
you
meant
comparing the 2 programs?
No, my real point is that solar that we have on our own buildings is our on-site solar. The more we can do on-site solar, the much more savings we'll have out of it. I mean, I understand that our utilities are, going to probably be the greatest source of clean and renewable energy, and I want to encourage them to do that. Thank you. And so our contracting with them helps that. So I think overall that's wonderful. But in terms of savings to the city, we've got like $3 million waiting to be invested in solar, and on our own municipal buildings, and that is where the greatest savings is, I think, for the city. So I'm very interested in how that is moving forward. With the 10 buildings that we're,
So that is our top priority right
Yeah.
now, as Melody said. So certainly by March, we will have some updates on that.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of meetings right now with general services to move forward, and we have a plan. We just gotta.
That was my question too. What your next is, I don't know what slide is, but on-site solar. What are the next proposed buildings with the ARPA funds? But in addition to the ARPA funds, we also have $1 million some showing.
Yes, that's under the DOE mention.
That's,
Yeah, officially it's given out from DOE.
yeah, well, the good thing is we can actually use them to like match each other. So, plan is to, we have to encumber them by the end of this calendar year, and then we have to spend them by the end of the next calendar year.
Mhm.
So, as of right now, it looks like the transfer station and the fleet garage will be our first projects. And then, we actually were just looking at this earlier, do you remember the next one after that?
What about the city hall, which is a renovation?
Oh, yes, and we actually
Yeah.
just had a meeting with the city hall contractor and the
Their
consultant,
lead consultant,
their project
they
manager.
are planning solar on the new city hall building. But that's not part of the grant that we're gonna use, just because it's a standalone project. Yeah.
But as of, was that meeting yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
All blurred.
A lot of exciting stuff going on.
But there is solar in the design for city hall.
Yeah.
Good. As far as the second part of it, going into the community, is there something about Habitat for Humanity and having solar panels in the Lake Bellevue neighborhood? Yeah, is that part of the city's effort or something?
Oh, I think you're talking about the 24 unit apartment.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, so I need to check on the progress for that. That was, I think, approved sometime towards the end of last year as well. Yeah, I'll check on it. Yeah.
And so would there be city involvement in that solar, or was that the developer?
Both, I believe. I'm not sure how eventually they sort out the solar part. Yeah, I'll get back to you in the next meeting or through email.
So you said the transfer stations and the what building?
Fleet, the garage.
Okay. Are the first projects?
As of right now, they're up for new roofs anyways, so
Yeah.
we're just making sure that the new roof will be able to be structurally integrity and hold solar.
It's a good time to do that. Any other discussion from the board on this presentation?
Well, I really appreciate you doing this. Yeah, as you said, it's been over a year. I really appreciate seeing all this. And it'd be nice if we could come back periodically
Yeah,
and hear about it. Thank you very much.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our next item, 4.4, the Soul Smart designation. Cassie?
I think because of all the moving pieces, I'm just gonna sit here.
All right.
So Soul Smart, this is something I wanted to bring to you all. This is a program that I actually initiated in my previous role in Virginia. And I think it aligns with a lot of our green print goals. And there's a lot of benefits to it, and it doesn't cost anything. So I feel like it's an easy win for us, but I'm just gonna walk you through this. So this PowerPoint was, we had a meeting with our Soul Smart representative, who is Kat Carroll. Now, so Soul Smart is, this isn't their job, right? They are like a task force, so they all have other jobs. So she's a research analyst at the World Resources Institute. So this is a federally funded program that like leverages experts in the field to help municipalities develop these solar programs. Kat is who is our point of contact going forward. So this was the presentation she gave us with a couple of updates on my end. So I'm just going to present it to you as she presented it to us. So she asked us a couple of preliminary questions about where we are as a city. So we have, we have an outlined process for obtaining a building permit. However, we do not have a specific process for a solar permit. So if a resident right now wanted to put solar on their house, they wouldn't have a clear cut, this is what I have to do. We do mention solar in the zoning codes, but we don't have full definitions of various types of solar and permitted uses. There seems to be high interest in community engagement, as we know from our solar co-op. And we have funded the solar co-op the last couple of years. And as we just mentioned, we have some ongoing solar installations for our municipal buildings. So this is kind of what we have so far. And then as I mentioned, SolSmart is a national designation for technical assistance. And I just had to update this because it did say 450, but they're up to 508 local governments as of right now that they've worked with to designate. And basically, it just wants to address the barriers for residents to put solar on their homes, and also to foster the growth of mature local solar markets. And as I said, there is no cost for this program. It's all federally funded. So far, there are 30 communities in Florida that have been designated under SolSmart. So if you look at the little map there, you can see we've got the city of Tampa, city of Sarasota County, and Lakeland. Those are the ones kind of closest to us. But you may notice there is nothing in Pinellas County, so I would really love for us to be the first to do something in Pinellas County. We don't often get to beat, St. Peter Largo to things, so I think this would be a great opportunity. Of course, we know the benefits to solar, supporting our climate and sustainability goals, generating clean power, local jobs, and reducing the utility bills and price stability. So what is SolSmart's role in solar development? So they help, like I said, local governments, counties, and regional organizations remove those barriers to solar energy growth. They offer no-cost technical assistance, and they help meet the federal Justice 40 goals, which is really important in a lot of our federal funding right now. And the aim is to reduce the soft costs of solar. So typically, when a resident wants to install solar in their residence, it's estimated about 65% of the cost is actually the soft costs. So that means going through the permitting, the inspection, as opposed to actually purchasing the infrastructure. So the goal of SolSmart is to reduce those soft costs, as well as the time and energy and confusion of the whole process. So this is a nationally recognized program that uses best practices. They provide a lot of tools for the municipalities that are shareable, but it's all very straightforward. There's guidelines, there's templates, and we have access to our experts, Kat and others, that can really guide us through this process. So these are some of the goals to increase transparency, particularly about the permitting process. So if we were to pursue this, we would have a landing page on our website that said, basically, how to go solar, and then there would be a checklist. So any resident could just Google it, they would find it, and they would say, okay, I have to do this, 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 this. And it would be a much more streamlined process. So they would increase their understanding on the complications of solar. We have a lot of aggressive solar sales tactics, and that can be confusing for some citizens. We actually had a resident, a couple months ago that got involved in one of those and was very confused. So this would be a source of education for our residents, and like as I mentioned, reducing the barriers and expanding access. So the technical assistance to help us update our processes using the best practices. And then this can all be done online with the resource library, and they also offer webinars and conference calls. So this is all already there, so we would just be tapping into a resource. We wouldn't have to be creating any of this ourselves. And as mentioned, once again, this will cost nothing to the community. It's all funded. So the first step is writing a Soul Smart commitment letter, and then there's different designations, kind of like lead or anything else. You can be different categories. So in order to do that, it's very similar to lead processing, where you select your categories and you get different points from different categories. So the categories are permitting and inspection, planning and zoning, government operations, community engagement, and market development. And these are the different. So you start with bronze, and you can go up to silver, gold, or platinum. And you can see the different points. So it's fairly simple to get bronze. And then silver is not that much harder to get, and then gold and platinum are a little more difficult. So we can go through the requirements, and I attached a lot of this in your packet earlier, and I can forward you this presentation as well. But basically, you start with bronze and then you build from there. And like I said, one of the first things you have to do is you have to have that landing page on the website. That's pretty much how you get bronze, is going through your ordinances and your permitting and laying it all out on a landing page on the website. And then you can go on through silver. I'm not going to read through all of it. Gold. I want to make sure there's no language that actually has unintentional or intentional barriers. And then platinum, there's like an instant automatic approval of residential rooftop systems. And then you have to share metrics about your community, and then install solar on local government facilities. And this is the graphic that was included on your sheet, the process of how you go through it. So we've already done 1, 2, and 3. That was on the document that I shared on the agenda, that graphic. I didn't print anything that I had shared with you guys on the agenda, just to save paper.
Is it okay, so the agenda?
What I have on the link is not what this is here.
It's not the whole presentation yet, but this graphic is on.
I don't see it. I have 2 pages.
I found it. If I can find it, anybody should be able to find it.
Sorry.
You got it?
Sorry.
So like I said, we're at number 3, so we would need to start with number 4, which is that public written commitment. All this is done through an online portal. It's quite easy it's very intuitive and user-friendly. This is what it looks like. And then these are the links that I can share with you to go through. The resource guide is really thorough. It's very lengthy and has all sorts of resources. And then there's the FAQ as well. So for the commitment letter, there's a template, and we have to choose 3 of these to insert into the letter. So we can choose to develop and execute a community solar program, develop solar equity goals and track progress, develop and execute a solarized campaign, develop a streamlined process for solar permitting and inspections, expand and communicate solar finance options for residential or commercial properties, install solar energy systems on key local government facilities, advance deployment of solar plus storage through clearly defined permitting and inspection processes, coordinate with local and regional entities to ensure equitable access to solar energy, train staff on solar PV best practices and planning, zoning, permitting, and inspection, and then including large-scale solar and community planning. So what I did was I looked at our Green Print 2.0 strategies, and these are the ones in our Green Energy and Buildings strategy section that are directly related to solar. So we have our local power generation, our renewable energy challenge, which encourages our residents to install and then our renewable energy finance, which mentions financing mechanisms, and then of course our solar co-op. So I went through and I kind of compared the two of them, and I thought that these three kind of overlap between the two. So to be my suggestion, if we were to write this commitment letter, I think these three would be attainable in our current efforts with the solar co-op and our projected installations with the city. And we have already been working with zoning and coding about these. We've actually had 2 meetings with SoulSmart. One just to introduce about the program, and then one our solar ordinance, our ordinance team was already updating this, and so they were able to help us with some language in our updated ordinances that will be published, I think, in April. So I feel like we would be able to easily get bronze and potentially silver. So I'll leave it to you all to discuss, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Cassie. I agree. I think this is something that we're already doing. It makes sense to do. I was surprised to see the communities in the area, like Tampa, have adopted this like in 2020, Sarasota 2019. Other communities adopted this and have had this for a while, and it seems like something that we should be doing too.
I thought Cassie said we would be the first.
And Pinellas.
In Pinellas
Oh,
County,
in Pinellas.
not the Tampa area. Tampa isn't. And so that's what I was curious about is how, since Tampa's had it for a few years now, how it's worked for them, and you have experience implementing this in another community, how it kind of changed things after getting that designation.
I haven't reached out to Tampa. I definitely can. The new sustainability staff in Tampa, and as well as Sarasota, they're both graduates from the same program as me, so I can definitely reach out to them. But as far as in Virginia, I would say, when we created that landing page, I can't tell you how many times I got emails and phone calls from people, and all I had to say was, here you go. And it was very beneficial and answered a lot of questions. And I would go through it periodically and update it, because there was a lot of the federal incentives the last couple of years, and so I would update those and had it all on one page for residents.
What harm is there in preparing the landing page now in advance of getting any certification at different levels?
There is no harm. It's just,
It sounds like it's something that should be high on your to-do list.
there's a lot of stuff on our to-do list.
Sure.
3 more stop.
Yeah.
Well, with this program, you have, best practices and, consultation with experts, that kind of thing. And also maybe some guidelines related to the federal justice 40 goals. I hadn't heard that before. Is that environmental justice goals that are the federal government?
What's the question?
What is the federal justice 40?
So it's what's, it's hard to explain. It's what's used in a lot of federal funding. You have to address this Climate Justice 40, which is basically, it addresses the impact on a lot of environmental issues that impact the lower socioeconomic people more so for a variety of reasons. So usually when you're writing a grant or doing any sort of federal program, they want to know how you're going to focus on those issues and how the program or whatever it is going to impact. There's a tool that you can look at different neighborhoods to see, and they can fall into these categories from different, it's not just income. It happens a lot of rural communities if they don't have access to indoor plumbing, but there's all these different criteria that will put people into different categories, and then these federal programs want you to make sure that these programs are going to those people specifically.
Perfect.
That's
So I think,
I figured that.
yeah, I think with this, because it's about lowering the soft costs and also the equitable access and the streamlining of the process, I think you'd be helping all of the citizens, especially the ones that would be cost prohibitive because of these soft costs.
Okay. I really like the permitting, streamlining permitting and inspection. I mean, when I got solar, it was 5 or 6 years ago, rooftop solar on my house, and the company who that installed it were kind of shocked that it took so long to get, because there had just been changes to the inspection process and the permitting process, whereas they used to be able to go down, just a month or two before that, they could just go down and in one day get a permit. And then, and now, like, what we'd added, like 2 inspections, a fire inspection and there was like 3 inspections that had, so I mean, our process now is about I don't think it's changed. I think it's a 2 or 3 month process from the time that you request a permit. So really can stand to be streamlined.
What do you need from us to move this forward?
So the first step, like I said, is that commitment letter. And according to SoulSmart, anybody can sign it, like city staff. So technically, I could sign it. And they say, a lot of sustainability staff are the ones to sign it, but they recommend having elected official support and city management support. So I wanted to start here, and then have you all recommend it to city council, and then I can still sign it if that's what they want, but I just would like to have buy-in from the whole city.
I just want to make sure I have the process clear in my head. So they provide, so you decide which 3 to focus on, right? And then they provide support in helping you achieve those 3 goals. And then which will help people in the community. And then once those 3 goals have been achieved, then you're considered bronze status. And the more you can do, the more items you choose to work on, then you get and accomplish them, then you get the progressive status recognition.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know that you have to achieve, like, it depends on the criteria, because some would be automatic.
But their assistance to us is not financial.
No.
It's like a knowledge support.
Yeah, it's technical, what do they call it?
Technical assistance program.
Yeah, technical assistance program.
So do you need a note from our chair?
Yeah, yes, we need
council.
a
So we all
motion.
sign a letter.
We don't need to get just a letter from me to you saying we support this, and having Cassie move forward with having Clearwater become a SoulSmart community, is something like that to the effect of this.
I mean, have you guys ever done anything like this before with, like, because I know we already set our legislative priorities for the year, so we can't, do that differently, but I'm not sure what the exact process would be to getting
I think it would be
EAB.
more effective if we did a motion to indicate that it wasn't just the chair was unanimous.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I just trying to figure out what it is we're trying. Because Cassie just needs to send in a letter, but she wants our board support to write the letter.
Can we just
No,
make
but it
statements?
needs to, what she said, it's best if it comes from the elected officials.
Right.
So we're gonna
Ask
write a
for that.
letter to the city council
Right.
to have them support it. Cassie can draft the letter for the council that would go along with the commitment letter.
And it would be a letter
commitment
from
from
the
the,
board.
from the city, not just an individual.
Yeah, I mean, Jennifer could sign the letter, and
Yep.
Why
So-
would it require, why would a legislative priority need to be a legislative priority?
no, I'm not saying it would, I'm just saying we've missed that boat, so we've got to get to the city council somehow.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're very flexible.
Oh, yeah.
So, I
You want
guess,
a motion to?
yeah, what we're looking for would be a motion to draft a letter in support of the Soul Smart program and send that to city council, and then they'll direct Cassie to do this.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we get it.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
A second. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Then I'll draft that letter. I'll send it to Cassie to send to everybody here to make sure it looks exactly like what we're talking about. And then we can send that on to city council for an upcoming meeting to review.
Sounds good.
All right.
I think great job,
Great,
because,
yes.
I mean, it gives us so many resources free of charge that
Oh, yeah.
can only be win-win in my opinion.
And it really lines up with the Ready for 100, the second goal of pushing stuff into the community.
And I equally like the idea that Cassie brought up, that it's something that no other
Yeah.
county has done, so.
Be about time.
And there's so much confusion about how to get solar, where, you know, we're getting information on it, what to look for, what to, you know, what resources are out there. There's just, it's an unknown, so I mean, to have that, if we, you know, we have that on the landing pages, that kind of information, for the public would be awesome.
Lovely, all right, well then, we'll move on to our next item then, if that's all right. Old business items? Is that something for me? Cassie, do you have anything old business now that you're in our new role here?
I don't think so. I think we have a couple of things, but we're pushed them to the next meeting.
Okay, the only things I'll bring up, and I guess rather than bring it up to board members, we're gonna bring it up now because it was stuff I saw within some of our old minutes, and I want to make sure that we still have this stuff moving forward in our new year with some changes and everything. We had asked before, and I guess this stuff also came up at the EAB presentation at the end of last year. The Marina project, we had asked about getting a presentation on that when it got to a certain point of completion, and I think it's at 60% when they gave that presentation to city council. I didn't really notice any solar or any other things like that I think our board would have had some say in adding to that plan. It's a multi-million-dollar plan for the marina too, so it would be a great opportunity for us to kind of give some insight into different aspects of it. There was also the artificial turf discussion at that meeting, and that's something that we've asked about for, I know, well over a year or so. We've asked for some update on where that is, and then there is something going on within the city with that. And then I saw in the minutes, though, we were asked to look at pool construction seaward of the coastal construction line and the criteria that is necessary for that type of development to happen. I don't know if that's still anything but that was brought up and something that was asked of the public for our board to look at.
Wasn't that
So,
It's pretty clear, it's Florida DEP.
It is, I think that particular builder revamped the plan, so it wasn't a question. I could be
okay,
wrong.
Okay, if that's the case, then okay, great. And then we were also asked about, I guess other communities are looking at or have done this, an ordinance requiring EV chargers as part of development. I think there were some recent changes to our development code and planning. So I don't know if that's something they looked at or something that we can ask them to look at adding in. And then this is something that I know it's like Cooper's Bayou, Lake Bellevue, and there was supposed to be an updated Stevenson Creek water management plan. So Lake Bellevue, there was a water management plan we had asked for. We haven't been out there to see how it's been implemented. And then, and I didn't mean to steal your thunder back as well, John, but these are just things that we've asked for in the past, so I don't know. I just wanted to bring those things up as old business items, so I don't know where we are with those, but if we can move those onto agenda items for upcoming meetings.
Yes, so the Marina project, I know Melody and I have requested some EV chargers in the parking lot as well as a e-boat charger. So I'm not sure what happened exactly with that, but we can look into that. Artificial turf, I know I didn't attend the meeting, but I know there was a meeting about it, so we can try to get whoever was the one involved to present about that. I don't know what that pool thing you were, I'm not familiar with that.
There was a specific development that was asked, that was before the community development board, I think, yeah, asking for an exception for the pool to,
I can go back and look at the minutes.
I
and
think
see.
that was from July, so that may have been, because that was when you first kind of fell into our laps.
And then as far as the EV development code, so like I said, Melody and I, we've had a few meetings with planning and zoning codes, and one of them was about solar and one of them was about EV. So we've gone through and we've made our recommendations based up, and we actually asked all the municipalities in Pinellas County where they're at, because we had an old spreadsheet from, was it Florida? Florida FSDN, Florida Sustainability Directors Network, that had some localities, but we asked our fellow Pinellas where they were, and so we got, we know what St. Pete, Largo, and Old Martine, they're all doing, and so we've asked to be on par with everybody. Yeah, or better. So I'm not sure when all that's going to be fine. I feel like it's April, but I could be making that up. But yeah, we should have some answers on both the solar and the EV code amendments. And then the Cooper Bayou, yeah, I think we just have to talk to Sarah about that one. And I did reach out to her. John wanted to have access, and I didn't hear back from her. But I know she's very busy. So.
I will say that I noticed that the lights are not as bright out there by the school. I had mentioned that in the past, so when I drove by, I don't know, it was a few weeks back, but I noticed that it wasn't as blindingly bright at night, right here. So I don't know if it was someone wherever, but it seems like someone asked them to turn the lights down.
we also mentioned the fertilizer ban in our annual presentation. And the only follow-up to that was, I think it was a request by Councilmember Beckman that to make it a legislative priority, and it was not, did not meet acceptance.
I don't
But I don't know that we ever actually presented a resolution.
No, I don't think we did. We just had a presentation on it, and I don't think we didn't take any action on what we were told after the information we were given.
That was at the last meeting, right?
Yeah,
That was at the last
October,
meeting.
Yeah.
So how was it left? Because we put it in our annual report. Did we approve that resolution? I should be reading the minutes. I should look at the minutes. I have trouble finding it, actually.
Yeah, I think we got a presentation, and it was just that the city uses similar practices that the county uses, and the products they use, they give a list of those.
One thing, it's under threat by the state legislature. And there's been.
Oh, the fertilizer ban. I'm sorry.
Fertilizer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the herbicides and pesticides. I apologize.
Yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah, that was something. That's where my mind was going with that. Yeah, I believe we passed that up to the fertilizer. Yeah, but it was past the legislative. Yeah, it wasn't at the right time, I think, or it was.
They said they haven't had legislative priorities.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the gist of it.
But I guess, can you find out where that is in terms of the city, the fertilizer, our support of keeping a strong fertilizer ban for our community?
Because, I mean, the study has come out from IFAS, that it was a literature review that the state, asked for, paid $250,000 And it said that the stronger the fertilizer ban, the more effect it appears to have on water quality. But that doesn't mean, but then it also suggested that probably more research could be done. I don't know what the legislature's going to do. Right now, there's a 1-year moratorium on all new fertilizer bans, and the fear is that they're going to try to roll back home rule on fertilizer bans across the state. So we're just asking for support for that, and I don't know that, we never did present the resolution to them, I don't think.
No, we did. We did on the fertilizer ban.
Did they get a resolution?
And Cassie will update us on that, right, Cassie?
So I know the two things that we had intended on putting on this meeting, but bumped basically due to departure of our director, but was getting a city hall update and a green print update. So if I include those plus all the ones you all just mentioned, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things. So luckily we have meetings more frequently now. But and I thought us only having these 4 items that this meeting would be very short, and it looks like it's still going to be a 2-hour meeting. So basically, which ones do you want for next meeting?
Yeah.
Because that's a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, can we prioritize?
Yeah, it's fine. I just wanted to bring these things up because
No, I
I
think
wanted
it's
to
good
find
to
out
have
where
a-
they may be. So,
Yeah.
like I said, for future meetings, not necessarily our meeting in March, but we can find out where, and like Marita and Nicholas, the pool construction and John, that might not be even something that we have to bring up because it's not an issue.
It's probably.
And the ordinance, like you said, the EV stuff and the changes to the development, if that's in April, then, get an update.
So
I guess,
maybe
either
with the
before or
Marina
after.
project and the city hall.
Well, is it okay if we put them all on the agenda so we don't keep them in the forefront of our mind when we get to what we get to? We have more time.
Sure.
The thing is, we don't have a time limit, we just go through the agenda and we say.
We do, we have time. Till 6. We'll have this last.
Oh, okay.
So we can just put it all on their table if you don't get to them. Yeah.
That way it keeps it in front of everybody's eyes.
I was
Sure,
hoping
that's
we have
fine.
shorter meetings.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. But is there any other old business items anyone else has?
I just, when Micah was using this as a format, are we still using, can we use this?
I don't know what that is. What is that? Is that green print?
It says the objectives, how do we behave, powers and duties, how will we succeed?
Oh, that's the EAB.
His playbook.
Yeah.
Playbook.
I'm just curious.
She said short.
Do you like it, or would you prefer it to be different?
I like today's meeting and we didn't use it. I didn't know if it was falling into a black hole or what.
Well,
It's up to Cassie really to how to keep us informed.
I'd like to, what they would be doing, have we been following that?
It's not that we're not following it, it's kind of more like a.
It's a broad,
Yeah.
broad spectrum.
But we're talking about legislative priorities for the first time in that,
Yes.
so I mean,
So these are kind of helpful because we tend to get down into the needs of individual things that come along.
Right.
This kind of helps figure out the larger picture.
Yeah, those are the challenges our board faces.
Yeah.
Is that we have bigger picture items and kind of those day-to-day things, but we only meet so often, so we try to.
the EV charger, I'm very interested in that, with development, is that what you're looking at? EV chargers in your development?
yeah, like a certain percentage EV ready, certain percentage EV installed.
Right. Yeah, I'm very interested, I think there's a moratorium on that right now for the
No, no longer. It's been removed.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why that's why code is going through all the ordinances.
Awesome. Awesome, because I think St. Pete's waiting to put EV charge requirements in new construction. Actually install them in parking lots of 20 cars or more, 20 places, parking places or more.
Yeah, just-
10%.
Whatever the moratorium is finished, so we're ahead of the game, we're looking at it.
Okay.
All right, so any other items for Cassie to add to future meetings, old business?
I might have one as part of members to be heard. but
Okay,
that's
okay, all right, that's fine, we'll,
What was that?
we'll do that then. John will add more to your plate.
Oh, okay.
Just to be heard.
Potential.
Okay,
I don't know
possibly,
if it's
possibly.
Cassie's plate or somebody else's.
Okay, all right. All right, then we'll move on to our next item, then our director's report. Cassie.
That's me.
Sits in the big chair today.
Well, I guess the director's report is we don't have a director. I'm sure you're all aware that Mike is no longer with the city. So Melody and I, we are not sure what that means for sustainability, where it will fall. So there's a couple of options, but we're hoping by the end of the week to have an answer on where our department will fall, basically on the organizational chart, or our division, what department we will go into.
Will that be for an interim phase, or will there be, someone will be, hired for the role?
Not sure what I was allowed to say, but I would think that we will permanently move to another department.
Okay. Very well. All right. Well, thank you. Any other information from our director?
After you.
Yeah, well, I think as I said in the email, I'm pretty sure the plan was for me to always take this over from Micah. I would have liked to be next to him for a couple of more meetings to really understand it all, but it is what it is, so here we are, and, we'll just move forward, and do our best. I mean, he had a lot of knowledge of all these things that I don't have the knowledge for the city, but I will, whatever you guys tell me you are interested in, we'll look it up and we'll get either somebody else from the city in here, or we can always get, another group like Surfrider or whatever to come in and present. And we'll move forward with our bi-monthly meetings and hopefully get a lot of stuff done this year.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Cassie. All right, we'll move on to our next item then. Board members to be heard. We'll start to my left. Cal?
I have a few things. First of all, thank you very much for this update on SoulSmart and for the initiative. I think that's wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. And again, thank you for doing great for 100. It's really nice to get an update on that. Secondly, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that you and I discussed in December. I'm opening this up for the input because I think what if we became a more proactive board? What if we took stuff from here out into the community? Like say at the neighborhood meetings, gave them updates about what was going on, or had environmental type events, and stuff that I make my imagination living with. I can't imagine. Well, what if we went out into the community more with environmental stuff, our stuff, new stuff like that? That's just something for you to think about. And the other thing I wanted to ask about, at some point you guys were doing a green print analysis of the effort and reward matrix. What's the update on that? Is there an update on that? Are you thrown into disarray?
So we have discussed green print. So we did have several analysis in different forms of green print. And we've talked to Jennifer, and we would like to do basically a green print 3.0 and make sure that everything that's in green print is feasible and relevant and achievable and timely. So it looks like, obviously it's a big undertaking to go through it and redo it. I'm not saying, rewrite it, but I feel like there's quite a bit in there, not quite a bit, but there's some stuff in there that as far as I understand in my 6 months here, that doesn't look like it's going to happen in the foreseeable future. So we've talked about really condensing it and streamlining it and making it so that we have very set, measurable goals. And some things aren't necessarily measurable. You can't measure the impact on education and outreach necessarily, but We would like to have it more streamlined, like I said, and so that's something that we have a lot of high priorities right now. Solar is one, our electrification of our fleet is another, and then parallel to working on those, we would like to update Green Print so that moving forward, kind of like Jared just mentioned, there's a lot of big picture things, but there's a lot of day-to-day things, and I think what you'll find, at least in my experience in the sustainability field, is it's really hard to get to the big picture things when you've got all the day-to-day things. So we need Green Print to be a real guide for us to say, this is what we're working on, and this is what we're doing in FY24 and FY25. And these things are gonna happen maybe in 5 or 10 years from now. But I'd really like to focus on the things that are going to happen and make sure those are very clear to the residents when they go to look at the document.
Great.
Okay. Anna?
I just want to say the solar co-op, Solar United Neighbors, is starting February 29th. So, and it will go for 3 months. So I don't think that was mentioned. And can we get these PowerPoints of these solar, like, is there access to Green Ready for 100?
You should have the Ready for 100 one already. It's
Okay.
attached to the agenda. The one that I just did today was basically, there was a Word document that had everything that I pulled from the PowerPoint, but I just showed it in the PowerPoint form for more.
Okay, so it's all on this Word document?
Not that Word doc, yes, that Word, yeah. No, sorry, that's the proposed letter.
Yeah.
No, there was another Word document that was attached to the agenda that had the same information of the PowerPoint. I didn't print anything that was attached to the agenda, because we're the Environmental Advisory Board, so we thought we wouldn't print like
No, I'm
400 pieces of
good.
paper.
But the Ready for 100 was updated, the one that I, the links.
Yeah, we just updated it with some new numbers, say, because when she was talking about that Duke program,
Yeah.
we just got permission on that Friday, so we just updated that.
So will the new one be put on the website so maybe we can go back?
Is that on?
We can email
Yeah.
it. Might have to do a couple of separate emails since the PowerPoints get, or we can probably just convert them to PDF. That'd be easier for sharing.
Okay, that's all good.
Sean?
I saw an email from the Tampa Bay Estuary Program about funds that they have available for habitat restoration within the Tampa Bay area. And the city of Clearwater has one of the probably largest areas of undeveloped land in Upper Tampa Bay, being Coopers Point. And we had been in there a number of years ago as a board. So I said before this meeting, I could visit the property perhaps and provide a little more thorough report. So I got this to Cassie and said, what do I have to do to get into the property?
Scale fence.
Well, I went on Sunday morning, drove up to the end of the cul-de-sac there, got greeted by 2 eagles. All right, one came, sat in the tree right above my car as I got out, another one's flying around. And I've been up there on my bicycle a number of times because the eagles are always there. But there's a big fence, and so I'm looking at the fence. My wife's saying, I'm not climbing the fence. And all of a sudden, here comes the guard. All right, so I would chat with the guard. Bottom line, you can't get in unless I have a key to the gate. All right, well, maybe I have to come back another time and just come along the waterfront through the mangroves, but that's another story. But the other thing that greeted me as I came up was a big wall of giant Brazilian peppers. And a part of the Tampa Bay Estuaries Habitat Restoration grants, they have up to $700,000 for cities, nonprofits to do habitat restoration. It's tied to one of the comprehensive plans that they've done, and one of the goals in there is invasives, of which Brazilian peppers is a big one. And the purpose of my site visit was going to do a little bit of ecological, assessment of the plant and forest community. I've been doing this for my whole career, both professionally and volunteer work. I still do it in Rhode Island, where I'm a certified invasives manager. I do it at Florida Botanical Gardens, another park, all the invasives. And I wanted to see what the plant community was like and whether the city might be able to have a slam dunk of some funds, tens of thousands of dollars to tackle Brazilian peppers or whatever else is there. I know Brazilian peppers there. And still like to get in there and see. There's a information session about the grant. I think it's February 7 or sometime in early February, and the grant is due in mid-March. But I'd be more than happy, since I heard that there's a lot of staff demands. I do lots of volunteer work, put my professional skills to use for the city, rather than Pinellas County, where most of my volunteer work is done right now. So, more than willing to help put together a grant application and then do the physical labor, which is one of my hobbies as well.
These are $5,000 grants that
They have 700,000. They're gonna, it's gonna go in chunks. You could do maybe it's 40 or 50,000. This geographically, it's one of the it's the only piece of upland that juts out into old Tampa Bay that's not developed. It's a gem. But we don't know what I haven't seen what we have. Maybe Sarah knows, but I heard earlier Sarah's so busy she couldn't find the key. So find me the key. I can call some other people who'll hire up the chain in the city of Clearwater if I need to get the key. But I want to get in there one way or another.
See the next year, the log cutters.
No, this is just my members' support of what, provide a report, that's all, to Cassie, to see if, maybe it's already on the board that they're doing something, I don't know. But if it's not, to me, it's easy money.
Yeah. I'll just say that, that stuff kind of falls in the environmental side of sustainability, which really, unfortunately, isn't really us. I mean, we have, as we do a lot of different things, but when it comes to that kind of part, that's really Sarah and Public Works. But that doesn't mean, we shouldn't be able to be involved as well. It's just we've got solar and EV and this, that, and that. So
This
when it
is
comes
me.
to Tampa
EV
Bay,
and
no, I mean,
solar is
I
not
follow,
me.
I get the emails, from Tampa Bay Estuary and all the other ones, and I read all that, and I'm like, oh, that's so great, but there's no way we have the bandwidth to support that kind of stuff. The city does have a grants coordinator, Sarah, and we work with her a lot. She bounces things to us, we send them to her, so I can definitely check if she's aware of that grant, and see if there is any capacity for staff to look into that. I just don't know that it wouldn't be Melody or I, but we can look into it for sure.
Please do.
It could be done
Please
under our
do.
name. I mean, it's the individuals can just.
Let's get him on this property, take a look at some invasives.
I mean, we've got
Um,
golf court, we have we've got a $5,000 grant. I know some folks who did this for a water garden. I guess they call them water gardens, right? In golf court. And that was a $5,000 grant.
There's also Key Canal is beautiful. I mean, I know they do a lot with invasive species removal and grant writing, so we could potentially discuss with them if they have any plans.
Do you want me to forward you the little clip from Tampa Bay?
I think I have it. I get all the emails.
All right, you probably saw it and glossed over it because it's not EV or some of the other stuff.
I just see
Yeah,
federal
I skip
grants.
over all that stuff and I
Figure
look
round
at
it
this,
out.
good stuff.
All right,
We all have our interests in the environment.
We can do
all
this.
right, very
Oyster
well.
beds next.
Yes.
I want to thank Cassie for stepping in a little unplanned but unplanned. Thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll have continued steadfast leadership here. Thank you. Melody, thank you very much for your Ready for 100 presentation as well. The only thing I was going to bring up was our Florida Arbor Day is Friday. There are a couple of events to get trees. The county has an event in like Wheelman area. Duke Energy actually is giving away trees if you sign up. They're very limited amounts, but if you're looking for a tree or some other way to celebrate Florida Arbor Day, Friday, and there's the Garden Club event as well. So with that, thank you very much, and we are adjourned.